It's 5/19/2021. I'm Diane Barrett. I'm interviewing Don Huss for the BE collection. Thank you. So what's your occupation? I want to be sure that I state that correctly.
Thank you for that. I am a program manager of engineering projects, or engineering program manager. Program managers manage a lot of things, but I specifically manage engineering projects.
I see. In what capacity are you? I know you're the manager, but for a particular company or?
Yeah, my company is Raytheon. I've worked on defense contracts for 46 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started in the Army and worked at several defense contractors, and I finally just retired from Raytheon in January.
Wow, so you're new to this retirement.
I am, and I'm loving it. Every day is better.
Start with where were you born?
I was born in Ogden, Utah.
Okay. You're the second person we've interviewed from Utah.
Interesting.
It's
a lot of people come from Utah.
We're going come from Utah.
Right.
And how long did you stay in Utah?
Well, when I was 5 years old, my father's job transferred from Utah to Southern California. Mm-hmm. So we moved to Anaheim.
Oh.
They had no difficulty getting me to agree to moving. I was a member of the Mickey Mouse Club. So moving to Anaheim was a dream come true.
I remember people going to Disneyland for the first time from Chicago. I'm from the Midwest. And I thought, wow, isn't that wonderful? So
it was fantastic. We only lived a few miles from there, and we could see the fireworks from our house.
Did you have siblings?
I have two younger brothers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cliff and Jim. They're younger than me.
And do they live in California also?
No. Here's the funny story. When I was a senior in high school, my father got transferred back to Utah.
Oh, no.
And so my brothers, being younger and still in school, moved back and, fully integrated back into society in Utah. And that's where they live today. Mm-hmm. I, on the other hand, did not want to stay in Utah after living in Southern California. So my escape route was to join the Army at age 19 and run away from home with a job.
Good idea.
Yeah, it worked.
To have you in the Army?
I think so. It was, whenever there's any conflict and your child goes off to a military service, all parents worry, but I was successfully tucked away in Germany, in Bavaria, enjoying life and doing my job there. So they didn't worry too much. They actually came to visit me and thought it was a fantastical place.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
What kind of work did your father do?
Well, he was the plant manager for the American Can Company. I'm not sure it exists anymore today. Well, it must. There's still tin cans and all kind of beverage containers, still around. But that was his life's career from the time he got out of the service, and he rose to managing the plants.
So when they returned to Utah, you stayed in California and went to the Army then?
Actually, I couldn't stay in California. I had to move to Utah, and I enlisted in the Army there.
I see. What was the enlistment age at that time? You were young.
I think you can go under age 18 with parents' consent, but I was 18 at the time I enlisted, so I was okay.
I see.
Yeah. And they knew I was miserable, if I would have stayed in Utah.
Right. Too far from Disneyland for sure.
And they taught me all about, especially my grandparents, going out in life and adventures. And for me, my goal in joining the Army was basically to get away, but secondarily, I wanted to go to Europe. Mm-hmm. So with my enlistment, they promised that I could go to somewhere in Western Europe, and that's exactly where I ended up.
So when prior to that, were you aware of your sexuality?
Well, I only thought I was a heterosexual. I knew no different at all.
No,
I had a boyfriend in high school for 4 years. With me moving, that kind of, just disappeared. But when I joined the Army, I learned about lesbians very quickly. There's a lot of lesbians in the military, and at that time, no one would say so, but that's where I learned I had more options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you then become fearful of disclosing your sexual preference change? I ask that because we have interviewed several women in the Army.
Yes. Fearful. I didn't feel fearful, but I knew I wouldn't last long in the Army if I was to disclose that. And I really liked the job I had in the Army. I wanted to stay there and keep doing what I was doing. And I think everybody, in that kind of situation just learns to be quiet about it.
Did you actually have a lover at that time, or were you just?
I did later on in Germany for a few years, and we actually moved to California together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what did you do in the Army? What was your first job?
My job was working for the Army Security Agency, and we did military intelligence kinds of things. What does that mean?
Educate me.
Well, in particular, my job was to collect communications from the Eastern European countries and process that, and it was used to determine, what threats might be existing.
So how did you go to Germany almost right away?
I went to basic training in Alabama in the winter, and believe it or not, it snows in Alabama in the winter. That lasted 8 weeks. It was a whole regimen of getting us indoctrinated and educated into the military way of life, physical training, weapons training, map and compass kinds of training, just kind of general getting you, into basic, military things. Then I went off to my school, which was in Fort Devens, Massachusetts. I went there
for traveled the country.
Yeah. I went to Fort Devens, Massachusetts, and studied communications of teletype signals and things like that. And Morse code. I learned Morse code there.
Just out of curiosity, how does the Army place somebody? How do they know that you would be a good candidate to pursue that part of the?
That's a good question. When I first enlisted, they give you a general test. It's very similar probably to an IQ test. And I tested in the higher ranges where I would be eligible to do some of these more professional kinds of jobs. And I got to pick pretty much what I wanted to do and generally where I would go.
Interesting.
Probably because of my test results. Well, I went into it pretty blindly, and I have to say I was very fortunate that I generally got to go where I wanted, and I ended up liking my job there.
That's great.
A lot. I liked my job. I liked the people I worked with. It was very interesting. And it actually gave me an opportunity while I was in Germany to get a connection to the defense contracting world. Later on, after I went to Germany and was doing my job there, I was asked if I would like to learn a new computer system that a company was developing to give to the Army to help us do our jobs better. So they sent me out to California to Sunnyvale, to Moffett Field, for 2 months. And I went and I learned the system. And my job was to write the lesson plans for that system for all of our operators in Germany.
You must
So,
have
and then go
very
back
high.
home, go back and train them how to use it when it arrived at our facility.
So you tested very high on that first test. I can tell that.
Well, yes,
Right.
high enough
Right.
to be able to do a wonderful job.
So
And
did you
when
request, when you were doing like job A, and you said, "Oh, I'd like to do job B."
yeah,
Did you request it, or were you? Did somebody approach you? I guess what I'm saying is, how much opportunity in the Army is there for you to go to your own advancement?
That's a good job. They do make it clear how to get promoted in jobs and what the requirements are. In the military, I have to say it seemed fairly unbiased.
Great.
I think more men obviously were enlisting in the military at that time, but I believe by going into a professional kind of career, I never felt that I was discriminated against for jobs or that the rules were different for me. I'll put it that way.
That's great.
For this job, though, I was solicited to go on this job in California by my superior officer, which made me feel really good. You know, he, I think, felt I could do the job, and I had never written lesson plans before or trained anyone before. So he was giving me an opportunity that I didn't even know existed. Yeah.
So at that time in the military, was the don't ask, don't tell being enforced? Did you see it being enforced? Or
you know, in Germany, I don't recall any situations where it was. I wasn't aware of it. Previously, though, when I was at Fort Devens, there was a witch hunt of sorts to rout out, you know, the lesbians. But I was still not quite sure what category I fell in, and I never really, still even maybe, feel that, you know, I never felt just, well, now I am. I feel that I am gay, wholly gay, a gay woman. But for many years, I was just kind of on the fence, but always dating or being with women. I'll put it that way. So
I don't think that's unusual. That's not unusual in the development. You know, your own maturation plays a big factor in that. And you were in a climate where it wasn't really a great idea to be out.
Correct. Right. And in Germany, I had also a boyfriend and a girlfriend.
Give everybody an opportunity, right?
So everybody equal opportunity, surely.
I understand that. Then you got, how long were you in the military?
I was in the military active for 3 years and then 4 years in the reserves, the Army Reserves.
And then how did you get connected with Raytheon?
Oh, interesting. Yes. When I left the military, so when I got my connection here in the San Francisco Bay Area to a defense contractor writing the lesson plans, I decided to move here when I got out of the active Army. And I went to the company that had done that project for us. And I asked them for a job and they hired me. They hired me as
good for you.
An engineering aide. I didn't have any other skills. I didn't actually know it would lead to software engineering and programming at the time, but I was doing data entry, punch cards on the computer for the programmers, the software engineers.
What year was that?
That was 1978.
Boy, What's changed since then?
It has changed. They would write the Fortran coding sheets. I would punch the cards. I would run the jobs overnight and give them the results. And slowly but surely, I was fixing the errors in the code. And so I started learning some software engineering, and then I pursued that in various community colleges and ultimately San Jose State.
And in San Jose State, did you receive a degree in that, or?
No, I worked for many years doing the job, stretching out my education for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, almost 20 years. And I finally graduated from the University of Phoenix with a business degree in information systems. So it was a long stretch.
After 20 years of working at it, you were persistent.
Yes, many years. And I wouldn't have thought I would get a business degree, but by then I was managing programs. And that seemed to make more sense later in my business career to go for the business degree. And it was very helpful to me.
Great. Did it give you advancement in your career to have the degree?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. For so many years, I just did the job and I got promotions and I got more responsibility. When I actually graduated, I don't recall getting a bigger paycheck or a different job. I don't think it happened that way. For me, it became more self-satisfaction because on the other end of it, I was always of the opinion to pursue whatever I wanted to do or needed to do to get a job I wanted. I didn't wait for people to invite me, into the next job or wait for them to give me a promotion.
So you would see the job and then work towards it?
I did. I was fairly proactive in seeking what I wanted to do and talking to my managers about how to get there, what was the qualification, and, just making sure they knew how much I wanted to do that thing. And many times after you establish relationships with your managers and coworkers, they allow you to do whatever you can do or will do. I found that it was no one's going to take care of you. You need to take care of yourself. That was my attitude throughout my whole career. And I did it, in a nice way, speaking to my managers and telling them my interests and finding out what I needed to do to make it happen. And no one ever told me that I needed a degree to do it.
Right.
Yes.
Did you have any hobbies during that time, or do you now?
I did at the time. I love the outdoors. I love to go camping. I love to go fishing. I love gardening. In fact, that was my first project as a retired person, was to put in a nice garden.
Great. Good gift to yourself.
Yeah. Gifts for myself.
That's right. And the world.
Yeah.
So are you in a relationship now?
Yes, I've been in a relationship since 1992 with Dana, my wife.
Okay.
In 1998, we had a wedding ceremony. Was not legal, but we invited 100 people of our closest family and friends to a winery for our ceremony. To us, it was more of an acknowledgement for everybody, a transition in our lives to be committed and live together, and everybody supported us very well. And then in 2008, we got married.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting being in a gay relationship because you have all these dates.
I know.
When people say, when's your anniversary? Well, it's like, what's the anniversary? The first kiss,
right?
The living together, the having the ceremony, the getting really married.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, We have a lot of anniversaries. And it's
And,
good.
that's wonderful for us. We get to celebrate a lot, and we have a lot to celebrate.
Right. How did you meet Dana?
I met Dana through common friends,
Mhm.
and we were going golfing one day, three of us, and we needed a fourth person. And one of our friends invited Dana, who had never golfed, to join us. And she beat all of us, I think, that day. Yeah.
She was a natural golfer.
She was good at it.
Uh,
And then she was dating someone. I asked her out. She was dating someone. She said, I can't, yeah, we can't go out.
Mhm.
And then she broke up, and I said, can we date? And she said, I just broke up. So I said, oh, okay.
Okay.
So 2 years, after 2
Great.
years,
Uh,
she decided that I might fit her list of desired partners, and she came to me.
Good.
And we've been together ever since.
Great. Congratulations.
Yes.
That's good.
It's
Isn't
a
that
happy
interesting?
story.
So you mentioned that on No on 8, you had some signs in your neighborhood or some.
Oh, yeah. No on 8. So the town I live in is Morgan Hill. When we moved here 20 something years ago, we didn't realize it has a pretty good conservative base, even though it's Silicon Valley, or I'll say maybe religious base.
Mhm.
And so I put up my No on 8 signs out on the main intersections, and I'd drive by the next time and my sign would be gone. And there were so many Yes on 8 signs in our town. I couldn't give up. I kept putting my signs back,
Right.
and they kept disappearing. And one day I said, I'm going to put a stop to this, or at least make it really messy for someone to take my sign down. So for every sign I put up, I poured a big bottle of honey over the sign. Figured they were going to have a sticky mess if they were going to take my sign down.
Did they try to?
I didn't stand by to watch, but I hope they did. I
You
hope
had
they
a
got,
video
I
camera.
hope they got sticky fingers.
Right. The sign stayed though, right?
I think the sign stayed, yes.
Yeah. I would never have thought of that.
Yeah. I didn't want to be too mean. I thought honey was, messy but sweet.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. That's fun. Yeah. So when you think back on your life, was there a situation or a person that really inspired you or made you change your direction? Or
Well, I can go back to the first person when I was in the military. My superior officer was a Warrant Officer Hogan. He came to me and asked me to go to California and learn the training.
Mhm.
And I didn't know at the time what an opportunity that would be, but it was the thing that launched me on this path, my career.
Mhm.
I learned how the engineering world works in Silicon Valley.
Mhm.
I went through progression of jobs and responsibilities, all the way from being an engineering aide until me just retiring as a senior program manager at my company, with up to 100 people at times working on my project. I'm very proud of that. And when I look at the whole beginning of that, and then the career path that I've had, and then retiring, it came full circle. Me going just, on a fluke, joining the Army,
I know.
and taking a job I had no clue what it meant. But the relationship of that job to my career connected me to the engineering world, and the work I did, and how I had a path in front of me that just unfolded over 46
Sounds
years.
like it.
I'm just, so I feel so fortunate and proud of the work I've done. So I would say Warrant Officer Hogan was very instrumental
Have you
in
ever seen him
that
again?
pivot of my life.
Right. Have you ever seen him again?
I have not,
Huh.
no.
Wonder if
I
he's still
should look
around.
him up and thank him for that.
Would that be something? That'd be fun.
Yeah, it
You
really,
probably know how to look him up.
well, I'm going to try that now that you've mentioned it, because I don't really, in my whole life, and no one's asked me that question before. I wouldn't have picked him until you asked me that, and our conversation leading to it. But it was pivotal for
Right.
sure.
You can tell that.
And I just can't believe the career I have had.
Sounds fabulous.
Yeah. And, working as a lesbian, when I did join the company that, my last company that I've just retired from, I went into that company, full disclosure, before I even accepted an offer. I said, I'm gay. If this company has any cultural or biases against that, I don't want to work here.
Good for you.
So, by that time in my career, there was no worries. I feel even younger generations now are living in that kind of culture, especially in, the metropolis areas, or, where we're living in the Bay Area, and most major cities. I think we have that support and confidence. I'm not sure everybody does, but
No.
for me in my career, it was like, this is who I am, and I'm not going to work anywhere where I can't be myself.
What did they say to that? Obviously, yes, but
they said obviously yes. And not only yes, but they told me there were gay and lesbian groups at the company, and how to join them, and how to get in touch and network. So it was very positive. And even now, the bigger company that bought us out has lots of support groups for all kinds of cultures and lifestyles.
That's good.
So I think a lot has changed in corporate America.
Did you have you mentored other women or other people?
I have. In fact, that's interesting, because about 1 to 2 years ago, I knew I wouldn't always work at the company. And as I was approaching potential retirement, I wanted to kind of pick a successor to leave in good hands work I had done. And so I started mentoring a younger woman that was also a program manager, but had just begun in that role. And over the past year, we mentored, and then it became very intense near the end of last year when I was actually leaving. And she is the woman who took my job over. And I feel very grateful that I was able to pass on to her what I had learned and done with the project over the prior years. So it was very satisfying to be able to leave on those terms and have someone so qualified and capable to be able to take over.
You're a planner.
I am at heart. I like to look ahead.
That's good.
I keep my eyes on the horizon.
No. So was there something that made you say, I'll just be here probably a couple more years and then I'll retire?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Was there something that made you know that you were probably just going to stay a couple more years and then retire?
Yes, there was. I was approaching 65. I had worked 46 years. And I was starting to, as the older people in your family pass away, you begin to change your perspective on life, on the value of time versus money. And I was getting to that point where I thought, if I had the last chapter of my life, I'll say 20 years, maybe the third act.
Jane Fonda.
What would I do with the next 20 years? I didn't want to be fully engaged in solving problems for a company. I wanted to take some time and discover, like you have, discover my passion.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm giving myself time to make the best of, grow into
Your
what will
time.
the next, if I'm lucky,
Mhm.
what will the next 20 years be like?
Jane
So,
Fonda calls this the third act.
yes,
That's what you.
Jane Fonda. That's where I got that from.
That's right. I love that.
Well, I feel exactly that way. I want to make the best of it, and it's hard to do that when you work full time. You don't
Right.
fully get to consciously or even unconsciously consider the options.
Mhm.
Your mind's just too busy with, work and what's
Right.
going on there.
What goes with that, right?
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to retire, and that's what prompted me to know that I needed an exit strategy
Uh-huh.
at about age 65.
Right.
Yeah.
So give us a hint what you're going to do.
Well, the way it's been going so far is I've been getting camping trips together about once a month, going out in nature. We have a trailer,
Uh-huh.
and we got a trailer so that we could take our dogs with us on trips. It's easier to take them out
Right.
like that and be in nature. And now that I just found out yesterday, I went to John Muir Woods near Sausalito. As a veteran of the U.S. military, I get into federal and national parks for free.
That's great. That is great.
So going and seeing all the treasures we have and being out in nature as much as possible, doing my garden. Right now, I do have higher hopes to do photography and maybe some art, some form of art.
Huh.
Yeah.
Are you doing that now? Have you done any artwork now?
I have not for a while. I want to learn how to watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for this next year is, kind of explore some of my past hobbies, get back into them. And also, as some of the senior centers open up, be able to go attend some of the senior exercise classes and social events, and even some of the trips, if there's some organized trips. So traveling right now and kind of getting my feet on the ground and get healthy for this year.
Sounds good.
That's my goal.
Let me know. Stay in touch with me now.
I will.
I know we're going to, I would appreciate it if you think about it. We want to do roundtable discussions too, of different, one of the things that happened was my partner is a physician, and we interviewed another physician on this that we didn't know. And they started talking, the other physician was in hospice. And they started talking about pain management. And so I thought, what an interesting thing to be able to educate people about hospice and pain management so people didn't feel like criminals if they're prescribing. And I was sitting here just listening to the two of them talk. It was after the interview. Her name is Jennifer Black. So I said, oh, we should do roundtables on that. So I'm interested in the topics for roundtables, and just like to have 4 or 5 women, on Zoom.
Yeah.
You did some of that in your work. Did you do a lot of Zoom meetings or?
Oh yeah, we did a lot of Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
So much I was so tired of Zoom. I mean, it's helped us because now we can do exactly what we're doing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be because of COVID, but I think the technology and our access has become so much greater in this past year.
Oh, just to be able to do this is great.
Yeah, it really is. But I like your topic on pain management because that's a good question. I have a lot of pain, and that's part of the reason I want to get healthier.
Okay.
But it is debilitating at times, and it does, it's kind of depressing in a way.
Absolutely.
And we all want to be our best and be the most active we can. And no one wants to take, a bottle of Motrin every day or whatever it takes. I think there's a lot of things for seniors, especially, that need to be done.
So if we did that with them, then you would like to be able to call into it.
Yes,
Huh.
that would be one. If it was a topic like that,
Right,
I
okay.
could listen or, complain a little and get some
No,
feedback.
absolutely. Well, it's just like so many people have insomnia, but if you have pain, you're not going to sleep.
You can't sleep.
That's right.
And you'll always be tired.
Yeah. So those are, and yet the physicians living with one, and I'm a nurse too, but they're made to feel like criminals.
Mm-hmm.
They're prescribing.
Yeah.
So, well, great. So keep your ideas coming to me. I appreciate that.
Oh, I will. Thank you so much.
Evolving into this project, things I never thought about, but
Yeah.
that's one for sure. But to be able to call in and talk to them would be, I don't even know how to set that up, but we'll figure it out, I guess. You could help me.
Yeah.
But so in closing, my last question is, if you knew that you were going to die, what would you like to be remembered for?
Ooh, you didn't give me a hint that there would be these deep questions.
So I'd like to keep it sort of spontaneous. But
sure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm going to go in the spirit of my mother,
Okay.
who is one of the kindest people I know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, other than when we did something bad and we might have, gotten a little spanking or something. She was the kindest person. We had all the neighbor kids were always at our house. And I like big gatherings. I like food. I like, everybody having fun and just the flow of that kind of connectivity. Mm-hmm. So I guess I want to be known. My mom was known for kindness, but I guess I want to be maybe known for that. I'm trying to be a kinder person, but maybe hospitality and connecting people.
Right.
Because that's really Thanksgivings, Christmases, I just love my family and I love doing things for people. So I guess that's, remembering a Thanksgiving together would be what I'd like to be known for.
And it's coming up. Thanksgiving.
I'm already thinking about it. What should I put in my garden for Thanksgiving?
There you go. I love the fall, actually. Yeah. So, well, thank you. It's been an honor to meet you.
Thank you, Diane. It's an honor for me to be included in this. I really appreciate it.
Please, Claudia and Sue, but I mean, please have other women refer into us. That's how it's going to grow.
Yes.
There isn't a person I talk to that's not unique. They say, "Oh, I don't really have anything to say." That's not true. Everyone.
Well, it's been an interesting process with you because your discussion and your questions really elicit things I wouldn't have thought about. Yeah. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay.
We'll see each other again.
Okay.
We'll do the round table, so get ready.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Say hello to Dana.
I will.